All right, this is take two on recording this meditation. The last time my audio was not so good, I got this microphone to see if I can do any better, and I'm going to try and speak up a little bit more. The past couple days have been very tumultuous emotionally. We lost all of our stuff. It was robbed from the RV that we had set up as being our graceful landing pad when we returned to the States. Um, We had downsized everything, just about everything, from our home in Cardiff. All three of us, Kahlo, Kara, and myself. And so these were the last few possessions that we wanted to hold on to for keepsake. Um, Memorabilia, um, precious things that were irreplaceable, things you can't buy really in the store. Uh, well, I had a computer and some other things, but our identity certificates, our um, scrapbooks, my box of artwork from Sarah's childhood, family photos that I was given from my mom, uh, Kahlo's box of Legos. These were the last few things that we had wanted to hold on to, my library of books. Um, anyway, I'm feeling a bit lighter hearted about it now. This is the third day since I heard about this. Last night I had woken up with a desire to share a practice of mine that helps me stay grounded and uh, with an attitude and a feeling of abundance in my life, because I do have so much. My life is so rich. I'm still alive after cancer. Um, we're living an extraordinary life of vitality here in Vilcabamba. Um, we have safety, we have enough, and we'll talk about all of that during this meditation. Um, the reason that this is so important to me is that I often use the paradigm of athleticism or physicality, fitness, to talk about how we can be present and authentic and um, have the most vitality and vigor in our lives. But taking all of those analogies and applying them to our emotional selves. I want to do that tonight as well as drop it into our bodies a little bit more. Embodiment to me has become the uh, uh, the epitome of cultivating a practice. When whatever it is that you might feel really competent at with your body, maybe it's driving. You're just super comfortable behind the wheel, regardless of the circumstances in your life of how you drive your commute, or maybe you're a sporty driver. You just feel really confident. That is embodiment. Maybe you feel really comfortable in meeting people, and there's just total relaxation within yourself where you are um, greeting a brand new person, and you're just filled with confidence and lightheartedness and very relaxed in yourself. And you can bring all of yourself to that interaction with that person. Maybe you're an athlete, and um, you are just so competent and comfortable shooting a basketball or throwing a ball or hitting a tennis ball or bowling. I don't know, whatever it is, it's easy for you because you've developed that, you've cultivated it. Maybe you had some natural ability, but that regardless, if you've applied yourself, you've gotten to where, man, you can just do some magic with whatever that ball or racket or bat is. It's That's embodiment. So I want to try and cultivate that same sense of presence and confidence in our bodies with regards to life in its entirety. And so I offer this to you, a meditation for developing groundedness and feelings and thoughts and sensations, beliefs of abundance, having enough. We'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about things for about 20 minutes, and then we'll do maybe a 10-minute meditation. You can skip ahead because you'll see all of these slides. So as I say here in the subtitle, um, this is a process and it takes an attitude. These are two crucial aspects of fostering a practice. Um, as a process, when you take a process from its beginning to end, you will have an inevitable sense of progress. And if you follow a process that has proven to work, you will end up with a result, a pretty consistent result. You may be cooking a loaf of bread, and if you follow that recipe process, taking the dry goods and then adding the wet goods and kneading it to a certain consistency and then applying heat for a certain amount of time, you will end up with a loaf of bread. You can do this consistently. This process that I'm talking about is the process of developing this sense of groundedness, of centeredness, and these thoughts and feelings of abundance. It takes an attitude. In martial arts, they talk about a beginner's attitude, where you just set aside what you think you know. You don't necessarily have to go through an unlearning like Yoda suggests, but you just have to have an open mind. Um, take in information as if it's new and consider it with a fresh, open mind and an open heart. Um, you don't have to immediately feel confident. And you certainly don't have to, in fact, it works against you if you think you're better than you are, because you might be cutting yourself off from learning some simplistic, fundamental things that are simply true and can be applicable in all these different circumstances. So, this attitude of being, well, we'll talk about it some more. The attitude is simply being honest. Let's just understand and accept who we are, where we are in this moment, and we'll go forward in a process that has been proven to work so that we can achieve and experience and appreciate this end result of this process. So I want to bring across three aspects of our being. One are our emotional feelings. We're going to talk about sensations, bodily sensations, and we're going to talk about thoughts, intellectual thoughts in our minds. Sometimes people are, everything I'm talking about are things that I've experienced, and also things that I have been taught by others, and things that I have practiced. Those things that were taught by others, I've practiced, and I'm sharing the end result of these things. So let's foster feelings of being rooted. What is that like? Oh, yeah, I was using this analogy of trees or plants as they are rooted in the ground. Their roots are these slender, splintering tentacles that are as close as the plant can get to being part of the ground. It is intimacy, it is closeness, it is connectedness, it is being a part of another as best as it can. And the rich interaction of nourishment and vitality and chemistry and life and love. Think about it, sit with that idea of how much passes in between the plant and the soil through the roots. And I mean, try moving a tree. I mean, that is in there. That is so grounded that you can lean against that tree with all your might, and it's just there. That essence of that tree being so rooted and so grounded is what I'm hoping we can all cultivate together, because the benefits are endless and wonderful. So as I said, there's also the connectedness of the plant to the earth, to the soil. You've got to work hard to remove that. There is something so deep and rich and strong and powerful about the connection that happens between these two living beings. Uh, that's what naturally happens when we develop connection with each other. I mean, maybe you're going to practice or experience physical intercourse and interconnectedness, hugs, handshakes, sex with another person, and that fosters this feeling of being connected, and the strength, the bond, the resilience of that connection between you and another person or persons is extraordinary. It can be extraordinary. This is a definition of intimacy where your entire being is open and accepted, and you're giving your entire being to another being that is absolutely willing to embrace and accept and meet you in kind. You can apply this to emotional intimacy or physical or intellectual. You can do the same thing in your work families or relationships where uh, you don't have to you don't have to have any physicality. You could do this remotely with other people, but if you are intimately involved with somebody intellectually, that's wonderful. That's very rich, satisfying, gratifying. It's like the epitome of what we can have in our human experience, isn't it? Don't you think? I think so. When we have this deep bond, this deep relationship, this connectedness, this intimacy, we can feel comfortable. We can feel accepted by each other. We get to accept another being wholeheartedly. We get to be the recipient of being accepted. I hope that you can think about each of these ideas, each of these feelings for yourself in your own life. Do you have these feelings? Are they plentiful? Are they rare? Regardless of which, if you have it at all, who do you have it with? And how and why? And can you believe that you can cultivate that with other people? Because can you imagine, maybe you've only got one or two really close people in your lives. Can you imagine if you had that closeness with 5 or 10 or a group, a club, a family, a town, um, a stadium? And you think about, you know, going to a professional um, sports event and having tens of thousands of people all feeling the same thing, rooting for something greater than themselves. It's extraordinary. Uh, can you imagine what that would be like to have your entire community feeling so comfortable and accepted and connected? It's, I think it's important. I think a lot of people haven't been taught or raised to believe that this is possible. I think a lot of people have actually had these ideas torn away and hurt by betrayal or mistrust or just clumsiness, neglect, or abuse, whatever it might be in our backstory, where we spend time in our lives believing that we can't have this, or maybe we can, but it's only with one person, and we're so dependent on that one person for all of these things that it's heavy and it's fragile. I'm hoping that we can cultivate these feelings within ourselves first, and then between ourselves and others next, and then to live a life where that is just the nature of how we walk through life. What do we get when we have these feelings? We get these feelings in the right side of being prepared, of being confident, of being ready and generous. Do you have home space? Do you have a place, maybe it's your desk, where it's just everything is exactly where you want it to be? Even if it's disorderly, you feel comfortable. And if somebody asks for something, you're like, I got it right there. If somebody asks you to do something, you're like, sure, no problem. I can respond to that easily. There's a feeling of confidence that you have when you are aware of your environment, when you are intimately familiar and connected to your space, to yourself, to what is in your field of access. You have a sense of readiness. Going back to the athletic um, uh, analogy, if you are ready to catch the ball and you're not distracted thinking about something else, or if you're feeling timid and unsure, um, you're probably going to do poorly. I mean, you just might not catch the ball. But if you're feeling confident and ready, you're like, okay, I'll get it. Maybe you drop the ball because this is new to you, but the more that you do that with a sense of readiness, it's like, okay, I can do it. I'll do it better. I'll do it better. I got it. I got it. It's this process, this progress of developing. And what happens when we have enough, when we feel like we are on top of things, or when we feel like we just have enough? Uh, aren't those times in your life when you feel generous? Like, hey, I just got paid, man. Let's go. Let me buy you a beer. Let me take you out. Um, I've got all of my things done. Is there anything you need? How can I help you? That feeling of generosity, uh, you can apply that to everything, to your loved ones, to your child, to your spouse. Hey, honey, I'm all caught up. Can I do anything for you? Can I just give you attention? Can I just hang out with you and spend time with you? Or is there something that you want me to do that would make your life easier? Generosity. It's a lovely thing. So, as I was saying, we want to evoke these bodily sensations. Look at some of these things. Pause, just gaze at some of these, and whichever one of them feels most solid for you, just sit with that, how that feels in your body. Wow, that was good. I got enough rest. I just had some great sex. Oh, my pocket's full of money. I'm good. I just finished with this crazy commute, sitting in the car, and okay, let's go. Let's go to the store. Let's go to work. Let's pick up the kids, whatever it is. These are bodily sensations. That breath, that child's pose, that horse stance, or being on the balls of your feet. That's readiness. There's a sense of calm. There's a sense of preparedness. And there's the ability to respond in a way that is instinctive and um, high performance. You don't have to think, this thing through very much. You can act naturally and authentically without trying to contrive or manipulate how you behave for whatever reason. You can just be yourself. How nice is that? How nice is it to just be yourself and be relaxed? So here's a caveat that when we're moving from centeredness into action, the further away that we move from our comfort zone or our realm of competence, the more clumsy we might be because we just haven't practiced. We're just not that experienced in doing something really extraordinary and really extreme. So you think about, there are some professional athletes who are paid freaking great money to practice hours and hours and hours every day for years, so that when the clutch play is happening, they're consistent and they're quick. They can pull off that um, they can pull off that play, and they're not even thinking about it because it's just natural. It's just practice. They just do their basics, and beyond the basics, they can do some extraordinary, tricky things. But fundamentally, they are going to do what they are so comfortable and good at because they practice, practice, practice. But even they make mistakes because they're trying to do something just so extraordinary. They're trying to run so fast, but maybe they still can't reach this ball, or um, they're running as fast as they can, and they're trying to do a ground stroke, right down the line, but it misses, just misses, because that is the extreme extent of what they have practiced and become competent at. It's the same thing with us. Sometimes life's circumstances are going to be so extraordinary that we're not going to be competent. We're going to be clumsy, or we're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. If we can acknowledge that this is the extent of where we are, maybe we are overloaded and we've got just too many balls in the air, so that even something simple goes wrong poorly because we've got so many things in the air. Understand that and have compassion and acceptance, and be honest with yourself. Oh man, well, yeah, I really do have too much going on, and I need to address that. So the reason I'm saying that we need to cultivate an attitude is it's an attitude that's based on feelings which are fueled by beliefs. The feelings are the emotional, sensational things, and the beliefs are the thoughts, the things that we think are true, the things that we've come to some conclusion about. And oftentimes they're very judgmental. But we are thinking animals. As animals, we are going to be driven by the physicality of ourselves, by our feelings and our sensations. As thinkers, we have active and passive thoughts, conscious and unconscious. Our attitudes are what can tie all of these together, and we can choose what those attitudes are. Whether you look at it simplistically, like the glass is half full or empty, or whether you simply have a belief that you can do something as opposed to you can't, or just a belief that you are enough versus not. These are our attitudes. and they're fueled by our beliefs. If we continually perpetuate thoughts that we are not enough, then that's going to absolutely flavor how we move through the world. If we have beliefs that we're just not going to be able to do this thing because we haven't gotten good enough yet, that's the attitude. Of course, if we're just starting or if we're trying to do something that is tricky and complicated in and of itself, of course we're going to suck. To think otherwise is arrogant and can even amount to hubris, where we're just full of ourselves, thinking, oh, well, we should be able to do this thing because we're going to pull it out of our butts. We have to check that attitude, get more honest with ourselves, get more reasonable about what our expectations are for ourselves and for the circumstances and for our abilities. When we do that, though, we can trust the process. That if we have a healthy attitude and we keep applying ourselves, practicing towards a discipline, we will absolutely get better, more competent, more confident, more capable. So, with regard to groundedness, the feelings that I'm hoping we can evoke are feelings of restfulness, calm, peace, fullness, happiness, joyful, being free. Uh, I had once asked what was the point of going through recovery, a 12-step recovery, and my therapist said, well, my question was, what does God want from me? And she said, God wants you to be happy, joyous, and free. That's the whole point. And if you're not, well, what's up with that? Sure, circumstances might, tune down the happiness, but I can deal with those things knowing that what spirit, what love, what life wants from me is to be happy, joyous, and free. So going back to feeling grounded, when you're feeling ready, when you're feeling rested, when you're feeling at peace within yourself, like, hey, everything is good. I can handle whatever comes. That's that sense of groundedness. And that's hopefully where we can move from in times of turmoil or tension or conflict, as opposed to being overwhelmed right from the get-go and then somebody having some bad opinion of us, and we lash out at them, we bite back, as opposed to somebody coming with some criticism or some unflattering comment, and we can say, oh, yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see that you think that. We can be available to receiving this person with what's going on with them, whatever their experience is, whatever their thoughts are. We can receive that and understand that, well, okay, maybe that's true. Maybe I did scratch your fender or break your stuff or something, and yeah, I can understand that you would be upset about that, and you might even call me names about it. But I don't have to break down. I don't have to tear you apart because you've got some criticism about me. I can receive that and interact with that from a place of groundedness. So the beliefs that I want you to consider here are that you know enough in this moment, regardless of what it is you're talking about in your life, whatever pursuit, whatever ability, whatever competence, whatever. In this moment, you know enough for where you are right now. You have enough for where you are right now. And you are being enough right now for whatever it is. And so maybe you might want to pause and ask yourself how comfortable you are with each of these as a core belief about yourself, about your life. Chances are, if you're not feeling really solid about these things, any one of them, you might be overwhelmed. You might have too much going on for yourself right now. You're really trying to just handle life. I'll tell you, some lifestyles, living in the Western world, having to earn a paycheck all the time for your sustenance and your shelter, working, God, maybe you're working 2 or 3 jobs, and you've got mouths to feed besides yourself. That's overwhelming. That's an awful lot for anyone to be doing. It would be hard. It has been for me to believe these beliefs, but just for now, because we're getting to practice a meditation, because we're going to spend just a few moments just sitting on a pillow with our thoughts, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to invite you to believe that these things are true. And you can go back through the slides that we talked about before about all these different ways of things in your life, the athletics, the work, the relationships, the intimacy. There's got to be some experiences in your life where you do feel like you are enough, even just a little bit. They say in the Bible you need a mustard seed of a mustard seed or something. You just need this grain of belief in order for something to become true over time. So we're going to sit with some of these thoughts as we meditate. And the truth is, and it always has been, that you know enough, you have enough, and you are enough. Even the moment that you came out of the womb, these were true. 1st grade, 7th grade, whatever grade, whatever age, these were true. Other people might not have thought so because they had their own needs that they wanted you to fulfill. And maybe you had needs that you wanted yourself to fulfill, and you weren't meeting those expectations because you had some lofty expectations. Maybe you expected too much of yourself at some point in time. But the fact is that even in that moment, when you had those critical thoughts of yourself, you really were enough in that moment. You just wanted in your mind, in your fantasy of yourself, you wanted yourself to be something different. But the truth was that in that moment, you were enough for who you were right then and there. And you had enough. And you are enough in every moment in time. In this moment, just consider if you've set the time aside to sit on the pillow and listen to me talk for a little while, you are safe. You've got maybe some walls around you or people around you that you know and trust and feel comfortable with. You've got enough water to drink. You've had enough food. If not, if you're too tired, rest. If you're hungry, get some food. Come back when you're satiated. When you've taken that edge off to where you feel like you're okay. This is the essence of self-care, that we give ourselves enough of what we need so that we can feel safe. It's not to lavish luxuries and glamour on us. It's just so that we can feel safe. It's just so that we can feel like we are home. What does home mean to you? So, Thich Nhat Hanh, uh, the Buddhist monk, he's taught a walking meditation I learned in Deer Park Monastery in Escondido, and the notion is that you're going to go for a walking meditation for some amount of time, but the point is not to arrive someplace. The point is to be present as you take a step, to be clear in your mind and yourself that whatever it is that's keeping you from taking that next step can be addressed in the moment. You can stop, stand where you are, think about it, and then when you're ready and you're able to set it aside, maybe to finish later after your walking meditation, you set that aside, and as you take the next step, you declare to yourself, I have arrived. I am home. Within myself, I am home. In this moment, I am home. I have enough. I am enough. I am home. I can feel happy, joyous, and free because I don't need anything. I am home. Let's meditate. Again, if you need to pause, if there are things that you need to do, if you've got to check your phone, you've got to talk to whomever, go ahead and do that. And then come back here. Continue this commitment to yourself so that you can spend some time cultivating this feeling of groundedness and presence within yourself. And if you've taken care of all those things, and if you're ready to sit down just for 10 minutes, not 11, just for a set amount of time, maybe it's 5, you can set your own time. You can just join yourself. I'll be doing this with you, and you can always imagine that I'm doing this with you, or whomever else. You can imagine that you are not alone, and you can cultivate this feeling of being home, of being grounded, of being centered, of being calm and relaxed and at peace. So, in your mind's eye, in your thoughts, imagine that you are exactly where you are, in the space that you are in. With your eyes closed, you can imagine the walls of the room, or the yard, or the car, or the beach, or the campground. Or even if you want to set those aside, you can imagine that you are in a space that is magical, a bubble that is surrounding you. And you can hold the belief, just for these few minutes, that everything within this space that you're acknowledging, that you're envisioning, is for your highest good. If you're being threatened, please take action. Find a safer place. And then come back here and honor that you have chosen a space and a time where you are safe and relax. And maybe you can imagine that there is magic in this space such that any tension, any discomfort any conflict that might be going on in your mind, in your body, in your spirit will just effortlessly be moved towards the outside of this space. It is in process, moving away. And it may not get completely away within these few minutes. Maybe it will. A lot of times it's up to us because we may believe that it belongs in us as opposed to believing that it doesn't need to be part of us. If you've ever tried to undo a knot, something was bound so tightly, it takes a teasing out, an opening up, a spaciousness. We're trying to create spaciousness and release the tension in that knot. Maybe you've got tension in your body, an illness, an ailment, a spasm. Put your attention to those spots and breathe in some spaciousness. Believe, imagine that tension can dissipate and loosen even just a little bit. And if we at least release the belief, the insistence that that tension must remain, we open up the possibility that it can lessen and loosen and dissipate and move out of our lives. And with that spaciousness can come calm and peace and rest. And maybe earlier on in the talk, some of the topics, some of the ideas, some of the situations that I brought up, maybe one of those really stuck with you, where you felt, you recalled, or you acknowledged in your life where you are competent and confident, where you are masterful maybe, or you just simply feel ready and capable. Let's bring that feeling back in. Let's think about what it is in your life that makes you feel calm and centered and grounded. And then we're going to set aside those circumstances and just sit with those feelings, those sensations of calm, groundedness, peace. Maybe you want to stoke that feeling in some part of your body. Do you want to develop that and inflame that idea of yourself in your mind or in your heart? Or is this a feeling of love that you feel? Go ahead and stoke that in your heart. Feel that. Experience that love. Allow that to grow a little bit, deepen a little bit, brighten a little bit. Maybe it's in your base, feel solid in your core. Stoke that feeling of solidity and readiness and being enough, not needing to be anything more than exactly what you are right now. And maybe open up to the possibility that you can take those thoughts, those feelings, those sensations, and you can remember them more. You can honor them more. You can apply them more to another part of your life. Or you can apply it to the same part of your life, but just more often, or more vigorously, or more confidently. And that the next time that you recall these feelings and these thoughts, even if something goes poorly, you can believe that you're getting better, deeper, brighter, wider, broader, more capable. It's just developing organically, naturally, as a byproduct of your attitude of honoring yourself. And that the next time that tension or conflict arises in your life, or maybe some circumstances just go poorly, don't go the way that you want, you can remember to pause before taking action and reacting. And reclaiming this part of yourself, these parts of yourself, this essence of yourself, this entirety of yourself, reclaim this sense of presence within yourself, needing no one else's contribution or interaction, because this is you. This is you loving yourself. This is you seeing, honoring, and being yourself. That you can recall this, settle back into this, and then take action. And you can respond with generosity, with love, with joy, with spaciousness, with confidence, with calm, with peace. And so in ending this meditation in just a few moments, would you be willing to make a commitment to yourself? That the next opportunity, whenever it may be, maybe it's in 2 minutes, maybe it's in 5, maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's when you hear a bell chime or a dog bark or somebody say, I love you. Choose what that trigger might be that you're going to commit to saying, thanks for the reminder. I am home. I am enough. I'm perfect, exactly where I am right now. And I'm going to take another step when I'm ready. Can you make that commitment to yourself? Would you be so kind, so loving, so playful with yourself? And cultivate that so much within yourself that you can do that to someone else. You can afford, because you have so much, to give it to another person. So as we come back to the world as it is, this bubble, this space, this attitude can be reclaimed in an instant if only we are willing. We do not have to struggle. We don't have to believe in resistance. We can simply have the attitude of, yes, I am enough. Maybe I'm not exactly what is needed in this moment, but I am enough for now. So we're coming back in 3, 2, 1. Thank you.